The galaxy had never seen a species quite like the Tarak Dominion. Across 1,000 star systems, their reputation preceded them. Disciplined, calculating, relentless, their fleets were massive, their technology ancient yet precise, and their armies molded in perfection, soldiers who regarded hesitation as a flaw, emotion as weakness. To the Tarak, the blue world at the edge of the Orion Spur was a curiosity at best. Its inhabitants, called humans, had just begun to crawl into space. Their colonies numbered few, their warships small and fragile. Reports from scouts and probes described primitive infrastructure, rudimentary weapons, and biological fragility that made the Tarak officers scoff. At the helm of the Tarak flagship, Grand Admiral Clivoth, a creature of jagged exoskeleton and piercing luminescent eyes, regarded the readings with contempt. These humans cannot even survive in their own atmosphere without technology. They are irrelevant. Around him, his reverend generals towering, six-limbed warriors nodded in agreement. By the time we arrive, their cities will burn. Their fleets are insignificant. We need only a warning, and they will kneel. Clivoth's claws drummed on the command console, the rhythm echoing like a heartbeat of inevitability. Prepare a message. Tell them that resistance is optional. Survival is conditional. He expected compliance. That was the way of the universe. The strong conquered. The weak yielded. Humans were weak. On Earth, the humans were unaware of the looming judgment. Satellites picked up strange signals, a fleet of unprecedented size, approaching at speeds that defied all known propulsion methods. The United Nations Space Command convened an emergency session. Panic rippled through media and civilian populations alike. But amidst the fear, Captain Elena Ramirez stood quietly in the command deck of the orbital defense ship ISV Horizon. She was mid-30s, disciplined, and calm under pressure. Her reputation was built not on flashy heroics, but on meticulous preparation and unshakable resolve. She had trained for crises like this, though none could have predicted the arrival of an empire that claimed dominion over thousands of worlds. "This is no drill," she said softly, addressing her crew. "They believe we will bow. They do not know humans." The communications officer hesitated. "Ma'am, even a single one of their cruisers could vaporize our entire fleet." Elena nodded, eyes scanning the holographic display of approaching track vessels. "Then we make them reconsider. Position our ships, activate defensive arrays, prepare countermeasures." Her voice carried a weight that steadied the nerves of everyone in the room. Humans might be smaller, humans might be fewer, but humans had one thing the Tarak did not anticipate: ingenuity and courage that defied expectation. The Tarak fleet emerged from slipstream near Earth like a storm of black steel. The Tarak flagship alone dwarfed human orbital stations, bristling with energy lances and weaponized satellites. From their position, high above the atmosphere, Clivoth could see the cities, the continents, the swirling oceans of the blue planet. "Pathetic," he growled. "They will kneel." A transmission channel opened. Elena's calm face appeared on the Tarak's communication matrix. "This is Captain Elena Ramirez, of Earth. State your intentions." Clivoth's luminescent eyes narrowed. His voice resonated through the transmission, low and serrated. "Human, you will surrender your world, your fleets, and your population. Kneel, and your extinction will be delayed. Resist, and it will be swift." Elena paused, then said simply, without hesitation, "We do not kneel." The Tarak generals laughed, their amusement filling the void of space. "How quaint," Clivoth muttered, "that a fragile species believes it can oppose us." The transmission cut. Above Earth, the alarm. Sirens rang in cities and orbital stations. Humanity's limited fleet assembled in tight formations, scrambling against the overwhelming Tarak numbers. Civilians gazed skyward, gripping each other, hoping for miracles. Elena Ramirez watched her crew. "They've underestimated us," she said quietly, more to herself than anyone else. "And that is our advantage. Because humans were unpredictable. Humans were stubborn. Humans could achieve the impossible when cornered." And the Trak were about to learn what the galaxy had not yet understood. Strength is not measured in size or numbers, but in will and ingenuity. Above all, humans had something the Trak could not calculate: heart. The Trak fleet descended into Earth's orbital sphere like a shadow across the sunlit planet below. Their cruisers radiated lethal energy, weapons capable of coring continents, yet their confidence blinded them to the humans' tenacity. Captain Elena Ramirez stood on the bridge of the ISV, Horizon, hands clasped behind her back. The viewport revealed the Trak armada, black and bristling with energy. Her officers read out the scans. Hundreds of vessels, each one a fortress in itself. "Status report," she demanded. "Tactical arrays indicate energy weapon readiness at full capacity, Captain," replied Lieutenant Chen. "Even our combined fleets are outmatched by at least 5-1. Elena did not flinch. "Numbers don't win battles. Execution does. Position the Horizon at the fleet's vanguard. Prepare evasive protocols. And activate Project Echo." Murmurs rippled through the bridge. "Project Echo is untested outside simulations, Captain," one officer said. "That's why we'll surprise them," Elena replied. Her gaze swept the crew, her voice calm but fierce. "They think we are weak. Let's prove them wrong." In the Trak flagship, Grand Admiral Clivoth observed the human ships organize with curious precision. "They form a formation," he muttered, "strangely coherent for a primitive species." His science officer's antennae twitched. "Their positioning and movement patterns are adaptive, Warlord. They are altering their formation in real time, compensating for predicted weapon trajectories." Clivoth's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. Their sensors, their processing, insufficient." "Perhaps," the officer admitted, "but their unpredictability may be their greatest weapon," Clivoth hissed. "Let us test it," he issued the command. Trak energy lances surged, lancing through space toward Earth's fleet. The human ships responded with a maneuver no alien prediction accounted for, a simultaneous corkscrew rotation that twisted each vessel at impossible angles, narrowly dodging beams that would have vaporized conventional ships. Sparks and fire arcs danced across the vacuum where metal should have met annihilation. "Tactical arrays report minor hull breaches, Lieutenant," Chen said, "but all ships remain operational." Captain Elena smiled faintly. "Return fire. Precision only. Aim for their weak points. Vents, sensor nodes, energy conduits. Avoid direct confrontation. Let them underestimate us further." The ISV Horizon's weapons roared. Rail cannon slugs pierced the outer armor of the closest Trak cruiser, detonating in a controlled explosion that sent shrapnel across nearby vessels. Another cruiser caught fire, its energy shielding flickering as it struggled to compensate. Across the Trak bridge, chaos began to ripple. How are they doing this?" an officer gasped. Clivoth's claw slammed against the console. "They are insignificant. This is impossible. Continue the assault. Destroy them." Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, civilians watched live feeds projected on screens. Children clutched their parents. Soldiers gritted their teeth, and scientists whispered frantic calculations. Yet, amidst the fear, hope flickered. "They're holding them back?" whispered Dr. Elena Ward, a physicist assisting military analysts. "They're doing more than holding them back," said Jason Lee, a young engineer. "They're winning, in a sense. But how?" "They're human," Elena Ward said softly. "They do what no one expects. They adapt. They improvise. That's our advantage." The boarding battle, orbital maneuvers, and human ingenuity continued to escalate. The humans' first victories forced the Trak to reconsider every assumption, every failed attack, every clever countermeasure. Only strengthened the human resolve. Captain Elena Ramirez, standing amidst her crew, knew this. The Trak had underestimated humanity, and that mistake would be their undoing. They thought we would break. They were wrong. Always remember, humans survive by thinking where others fear. Humans survive by daring when others hesitate. Humans survive by refusing to kneel. Above all, humans' courage intelligence, and adaptability began to reshape the Turok perspective. The galaxy was watching, and the legend of Earth's defenders had just begun. The Turok, furious at their failing assault, deployed boarding vessels designed to crush human ships from within. Black angular pods sliced through Earth's orbital defenses like knives through cloth. Each vessel carried elite shock troops, creatures bred for conquest, trained to subdue or kill with efficiency and terror. On the ISV horizon, alarms blared. Boarding inbound. Sector 4, a computerized voice warned. Red lights bathed the corridors, casting the bridge in an ominous glow. Captain Elena Ramirez remained steady. Seal all non-essential compartments. Deploy counterboarding teams. Set traps where they expect none. Her officers exchanged nervous glances. "Ma'am, there are hundreds of them, each stronger than any human we faced." Elena's eyes glinted. "Then let's make them regret underestimating us." The first boarding pod slammed into the horizon's hull. Sparks flew, alarms shrieked, and the blackened metal doors twisted under immense force. Track soldiers poured into the corridors, claws and blades ready, expecting an easy slaughter. Instead, they encountered humans prepared beyond expectation. Marines had positioned automated turrets, laser nets, and defensive mines. The corridors were narrow, funneling the Turok into zones designed to neutralize their physical advantage. Lieutenant Marin Holt, a young officer with steady hands and nerves of steel, crouched behind cover. Her pulse rifle aimed at the advancing aliens. "Target the joints and watch their movement patterns," she whispered to her squad. "Hit fast, then fall back. Keep them guessing." The Turok, creatures of brute force, were unaccustomed to humans who acted as one mind, coordinating without verbal commands. Each shot, each trap, each maneuver was calculated and lethal. A Turok warbeast lunged at Holt. She rolled aside, igniting a plasma torch designed for engineering. The torch hissed across the alien's armored throat. Sparks erupted. The creature roared, staggering, its clawed hands scrabbling against reinforced metal, before collapsing to the floor. On the Turok flagship, Clivoth watched the live feeds with growing disbelief. Boarding squads were being annihilated faster than they could deploy. "Impossible!" he bellowed. "They are humans. How are they resisting our elite warriors?" His second-in-command's antennae twitched nervously. "They adapt, Warlord. Every tactic we deploy is countered. They are unpredictable." Clivoth slammed a claw against the console. "Then bring in the heavy battalions. Crush every human alive. Leave no survivors." Back on the horizon, Captain Elena moved through the corridors herself, a beacon of leadership. Her presence inspired the crew. She reinforced barricades, coordinated counterattacks, and tended to the injured, all while enemy forces crashed around her. "Every inch we hold is a statement," she said to Sergeant David Rourke, a grizzled veteran beside her. "They thought humans were weak. They were wrong." Rourke nodded. "Let's make sure they remember that forever." A squad of engineers rerouted emergency systems to collapse a corridor behind a group of charging Turok. One instant they advanced. The next, the corridor was a wall of crushing steel and energy. The aliens screeched in shock and frustration, trapped, forced to fight on the humans' terms. The boarding battle continued across the horizon. Every corridor was a test of human ingenuity versus alien might. The Turok were strong, fast, and deadly, but humans were clever, courageous, and unpredictable. Marin Holt paused for a breath, surveying the chaos. "They expect fear. We give them strategy," another human officer quipped amid gunfire. They underestimated the wrong species. And in that moment, even the Turok soldiers began to realize these humans were not prey. They were a storm waiting to be unleashed. Clivoth's own perspective began to shift. Reports came in of multiple boarding defeats. Even the mightiest Turok warriors had fallen. Their arrogance faltered. For the first time, he faced the unthinkable truth. Humans were extraordinary, not because of brute strength, but because of heart, courage, and ingenuity. His voice trembled as he ordered, "Prepare the supernova cannons. If they will not surrender, they will be erased from existence." Captain Elena, watching the sensors, understood what was coming. She didn't flinch. Instead, she prepared her crew, bolstered defenses, and set a countermeasure designed not just to survive, but to teach the Turok the cost of arrogance. Every human action, every counterattack, and every daring maneuver forced the Turok to reconsider everything they believed about life in the galaxy. No algorithm could predict human courage. No strategy could anticipate human will. As explosions lit the corridors and orbital lasers cut through the void, one truth became undeniable. Humans do not kneel. Humans adapt. Humans endure. Humans prevail. Captain Elena Ramirez, standing amidst the chaos, raised her voice above the storm. They thought Earth would break. They were wrong. Humans survive because we refuse to surrender. Humans survive because we fight with mind, heart, and courage. And humans, we never stop. The Turok fleet faltered. Their boarding forces were decimated, their confidence shattered. The galaxy had witnessed a species they believed weak, standing against impossible odds and not only surviving, but prevailing. Across Earth, celebrations were muted, tinged with awe rather than mere relief. Humanity had faced the mightiest empire in known space and prevailed not through numbers, but through courage, ingenuity, and unity. Captain Elena Ramirez stood alone at the observation deck of the horizon, gazing at the distant sun rising over Earth's curve. She allowed herself a moment of reflection. The battle was over, but the responsibility remained. Humanity had proven itself, but the stars were vast, and challenges would come again. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "We are human, and that is enough." The galaxy, having witnessed the impossible, would never forget. The Turok fleet, once a towering wall of black steel and lethal energy, now trembled in space. Each failed assault, each lost boarding squad, had begun to erode the confidence of the Empire's commanders. Grand Admiral Clivoth's eyes, once sharp and unyielding, now flickered with unease. Captain Elena Ramirez observed the enemy fleet through the horizon sensors. Her crew was tired, some wounded, yet their determination shone brighter than any weapon. "They believe strength comes from intimidation," she said softly, addressing her officers. "They don't understand what humans are capable of. Let's show them." Elena activated the final stage of Project Echo, a maneuver designed not merely to survive, but to turn the enemy's arrogance into their undoing. Across Earth's orbital defenses, every human vessel synchronized like a single organism, weaving patterns that confounded the Turok targeting systems and lured entire cruisers into pre-planned trap zones. A Turok dreadnought, the Oblivion, was the first to fall. Human ships had led it into a gravitational anomaly generated by improvised orbital devices. The dreadnought's massive frame twisted, shields flickered, and energy conduits overloaded. With a roar that reverberated through space, it erupted in a dazzling cascade of fire and debris. Across the fleet, Turok commanders could hardly believe what they saw. "They've weaponized the planet itself?" one officer whispered. Disbelief etched across his exoskeletal face. Clivoth's claws drummed furiously on the man. "Console." "Impossible! The humans should not survive this." "They are not just surviving," another officer admitted. "They are controlling it." On the horizon, Elena's crew watched as the enemy faltered. She didn't celebrate. Instead, she focused on the next objective, turning the tide entirely. Using a combination of orbital kinetic strikes, synchronized rail cannon volleys, and precise hacking of the Turok fleet's guidance systems, humans began to dismantle the enemy without direct boarding engagement. Lieutenant Chen, monitoring the feedback, said in awe, "Captain, their flagship is falling into chaos. They can't coordinate anymore. Every move we predicted is wrong. They're paralyzed." Elena's calm voice cut through the tension. "Keep the pressure. Stay unpredictable. Let them witness humanity's resolve. Let them understand why no species can break us." Meanwhile, Clivoth made the desperate decision to send his elite ground forces directly to Earth's surface, hoping to intimidate humans into surrender. Massive landing ships descended through the atmosphere, their shadows cutting across oceans, mountains, and cities. But humans were ready. Earth's combined defenses, including orbital lasers, automated turrets, and human ingenuity, intercepted the drops with precision. Cities remained unharmed, as the humans had cleverly evacuated key areas while setting traps for the invaders. The Turok were not merely defeated, they were outsmarted. Each step they took brought further humiliation, their arrogance, once absolute, now shattered under the weight of human courage and intelligence. In the midst of battle, Captain Elena personally led a small strike team in one of the human shuttles, their target, the central command of the Turok landing forces. Elena's mind raced with strategy, improvising at every turn. Plasma shields, magnetic disruptors, and unconventional tactics allowed the humans to bypass overwhelming defenses and strike the Turok command vessel directly. Inside, Clivoth's elite guards were waiting, but the humans anticipated their every move. Explosions echoed, energy arcs danced, and yet the humans advanced. Elena reached the command deck. With a calm but commanding voice, she addressed Clivoth directly. "You claimed we would kneel. You believed fear would control us. But humanity does not bend to arrogance. We survive because we are clever, we are united, and we are brave. Today, you see what you underestimated." Clivoth, wounded and defeated, looked upon the humans. His empire had never faced a species like this. His warriors were either destroyed, captured, or fleeing. For the first time, the galaxy's proudest conqueror felt a strange, unfamiliar emotion. Respect. "You are not what we expected," he admitted, voice trembling. "Your species is extraordinary." Elena's gaze remained steady. "We are humans. That alone explains everything you failed to predict." From orbit, the truck retreat began. Ships limped back into slipstream corridors, some damaged beyond repair, others scrambling to regroup. The humans, though exhausted and scarred, held their ground. They had not just survived, they had won. Across Earth, celebrations were muted, tinged with awe rather than mere relief. Humanity had faced the mightiest empire in known space, and prevailed not through numbers, but through courage, ingenuity, and unity. In the quiet that followed, Captain Elena addressed her crew. "This fight is over," she said softly. "But remember, they thought us weak. They thought us predictable. They were wrong. And that is the lesson humanity carries into the stars. Strength comes not from fear or force, but from heart, courage, and the willingness to stand against impossible odds." Far above, Clivoth watched Earth fade from his view. The arrogance of his empire had been shattered. For the first time, he understood the truth about humans: unpredictable, resilient, and awe-inspiring. And as the human fleets returned home, battered but victorious, a message echoed through the galaxy: Earth does not kneel. Humanity survives. Humanity prevails. Humanity inspires. The Turok had retreated, their once imposing armada reduced to a fractured shadow of pride. Across the vacuum of space, debris from destroyed ships floated silently, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. The galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary, a species underestimated by all, rising against impossible odds and prevailing. On the ISV horizon, Captain Elena Ramirez walked the bridge in silence. Her crew, exhausted and bloodied, looked to her not for orders, but for understanding. She did not speak of victory, not yet. Instead, she surveyed the stars, reflecting on what had just occurred. Lieutenant Chen approached quietly. "Captain, we did it. We actually did it." Elena smiled faintly. "We survived because we never forgot who we are. Not strength, not numbers, not technology alone. It was courage, ingenuity, and the will to stand together. On Earth, people looked up at the stars with newfound wonder. Children pointed at the sky, dreaming of the stars they had once feared. Scientists recorded data that would inspire generations. Soldiers cleaned and repaired their vessels, humbled but proud. Humanity had learned something vital. Fear is never stronger than courage, and humility never weaker than resolve. Far above the atmosphere, the remnants of the Trak fleet regrouped in the void. Grand Admiral Clivoth, his armor scarred and his pride wounded, stared at the blue planet with a mixture of awe and disbelief. "They are remarkable," he murmured. "I cannot predict them. I cannot control them. I only know they are humans." His officers nodded silently. For the first time, the Empire's conquerors understood that some forces cannot be crushed by technology, strategy, or intimidation alone. Some forces, like humanity, are defined by their unyielding spirit. On board the Horizon, Elena gathered her officers for a final address. The room was quiet. The only sounds the hum of the ship and the soft creaking of reinforced metal. "Today, we faced an empire," she began. "An empire that believed we would kneel, that assumed our weakness, and that underestimated the human spirit. And yet, here we stand. Not because we were larger, faster, or stronger, but because we dared, we adapted, and we never surrendered." Her crew listened in reverent silence, understanding the gravity of what had transpired. "Let this be our legacy," Elena continued, voice steady and filled with quiet pride. "Not just to survive, but to inspire. Not just to fight, but to teach the galaxy that humanity cannot be predicted, cannot be controlled, and will never kneel to arrogance." Across the stars, whispers spread of the blue planet that defied an empire. Traders, explorers, and scholars would carry tales of human courage to the farthest reaches of known space. Alien species who once dismissed humanity now approached with caution, respect, and curiosity. For the first time, the galaxy truly understood that humans were extraordinary not because of technology or sheer numbers, but because of heart, ingenuity, and the unbreakable will to stand for what is right. Captain Elena Ramirez stood alone at the observation deck of the Horizon, gazing at the distant sun rising over Earth's curve. She allowed herself a moment of reflection. The battle was over, but the responsibility remained. Humanity had proven itself, but the stars were vast, and challenges would come again. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "We are human, and that is enough." The galaxy, having witnessed the impossible, would never forget. And for the first time, the galaxy understood what it truly meant to be human. If this story moved you, subscribe for more human stories from the stars. Witness courage, ingenuity, and the extraordinary power of humanity across the cosmos.